So hey, we're back with another Sparkler author interview from our spring 2026 issue. I'm Christine Boatwright. I'm the creative director for Sparkler Magazine, and we have Laura Zimmerman with us this evening. So hey, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's fun to be here.
So one of the reasons we're kind of doing these interviews is we want to share advice with teen writers and kind of set them on their journey and get them on their way. So can we start with a good piece of writing advice or something that you've heard that have found out is true, or start there maybe.
Yeah. No, actually, my this is one that you can definitely overthink. For me, the easiest bit of writing advice is I take it from Finding Nemo. Just keep writing, right? Just keep swimming, just keep writing, just keep writing. Um, and it sounds so cliche, but it's so true. It doesn't matter where you are in your writing journey, whether you're just starting out, whether you've published a billion books. You're going to have off days, off weeks, off months, where you just really feel a little dry. You feel like the words aren't coming, and you're starting to doubt yourself a little bit, and you think maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this isn't what I'm meant to do. But honestly, if you feel like you have that passion in you, if you feel like God has given that to you as a passion, don't give up. Just keep going. Because we all have our moments of frustration. But I truly believe that God has given each of us a gift, and we are to just be who God created us to be, and to share His words. So that's the suggestion that I would give is just don't give up, just keep writing, even if you feel like what you've put down isn't great. It's okay.
It's the whole you can't edit a blank page, right? I feel like you
There
hear
you
that
go.
a lot. You're like,
There you go.
you got to
Yeah,
get it out there.
yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
okay, good tip. I like that.
Yeah.
Um, so I thoroughly enjoyed the flash fiction story you wrote for us. Particularly the ending. I guess I didn't. It was well wrapped up. I don't know that I saw it coming, and so
Yeah.
I loved that. Where did that come from? Are these characters you've had before? Like,
They absolutely aren't. And it really did sort of come out of nowhere. It came out of, I guess I feel like once in a while I see either an Instagram post or I'll see a magazine article or something where people in maybe the early 20th century were guessing what is the future going to look like. And back in the 1950s they're drawing the 21st century where we're all like almost like robotic, all like everything's metal and we're flying cars and everything. And it's just kind of interesting to see how we really aren't that different from the past. And so it got me thinking, what would the future look like? And I settled on the fact that it would actually not be much different than the way we live now. But also there would be some big differences. Obviously, we have, the internet and technology now that they didn't have in the 1950s. But I feel like socially we're still very similar, right? So I kind of wanted to keep that balance, the same yet different. And so the way that I came up with something different was it being off-world. So yeah.
that. It's
Yeah.
almost like when I think about how they looked at the future in like the 50s and, in that era, that almost looks more futuristic to me than we do now, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I wanted to bring in that idea of this girl going to high school, going to school, her dad's dropping her off, like everything, she's going for career day. It's similar to what we have now, but then it's different. So, yeah.
It was clever. I enjoyed it. So,
Thanks.
um, have you written much flash fiction? Like, how did you get into this? What do you like about
Yeah.
it?
You want to know, it's funny. If I'm not mistaken, it was about 2014. I was part of a writing group, and a friend of mine mentioned that she was going to write some flash fiction, and I'd never heard of it. I asked her a little bit about it, and she told me what it was. And I said, a story in under 1,000 words? That's impossible. That can't be done. And she challenged me. She said, it is really hard because you have to make every word count. And you've really got to, I mean, you've got to tighten it as far as editing goes, but you need to use words that are going to convey not only the story, but the feeling, right? The emotion, the all the senses. And I found that intriguing. And so I tried it out. I had a blast. And actually, for a number of years, I had a blog and I used to put out weekly flash fiction. Sometimes I was doing it daily. Um, and I just had a really good time with it for a very long time. As a matter of fact, there were a few birthdays in a row where I challenged the readers of my blog to write a flash fiction for the number of years that I was turning.
Okay.
Yeah. So, if I was turning 40, it was you had to write a flash fiction story in 40 words. So, yeah,
Oh,
right?
I like
And
that.
and it was really neat because people got to jump on that, similar to what Sparkler does on Instagram now with I think is it Tuesdays, or I can't remember which day it is now.
Tiny
You have
Tail Thursdays.
Tiny Tail Thursdays. That's what it is. I knew it was something like that. And that's just so clever, and I love it. So, but yeah, I've enjoyed it for a while, and when I saw you guys open up submissions, I knew I wanted to be part of it. So, jumped on the bandwagon.
I'm so glad you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was nervous about submissions and then they rolled in. I'm like, oh, we get to pick like good
Oh, isn't
ones.
that fun?
It wasn't like, please write us a story. It was like, oh, like
This
it
is
was
cool.
get to be selective. It was really fun.
Oh, that's neat though. I love it.
Absolutely. Well, one of the reasons we started Sparkler was my business partner, Lori, and I kind of realized that like we both have children and there's kind of this need for just age appropriate stories. And it's not that easy to find. And so we kind of decided we wanted to create a platform for clean YA authors, clean and Christian, but just
Yeah,
at least
sure.
clean.
At least clean.
Um, and just a way for those authors to connect with families. That's the whole point. Still is. Um, you're a little bit unique in that you have a traditional publisher and an agent and kind of the things that a lot of people aspire to. So how did that happen and how's that journey been? Yes.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, it's been quite a journey because the agent that I have now is not the first one that I had gotten. And so I started the journey of trying to become, I guess you could say, published. I sort of always written stories for myself more so. But it was probably around 2013, 2014, I started looking into it a bit. And of course, that meant sending out lots of queries. And it was in 2016. I went to a writers conference and I met a gentleman there. And actually, he said he would like to represent me. I was very excited. I signed with him. Um, and it wasn't necessarily that it was a bad connection. It was a really great learning lesson because what I learned is that I know you just said it. As writers, we all think, oh, all we just need to land an agent, and we're gonna make it big. It's gonna be awesome. And while that can be true for some people, you just kind of have to keep in mind that as much as authors as we are hoping to land the agent, because hopefully they can help us get a book contract and this and that, they also need us too, right? Because if they don't have an author and they don't have a book to represent, then they don't have a job. And I guess I didn't really realize that. And so there are different kinds of agents out there, just like there are different kinds of people. And what I learned was that um, I specifically needed an agent who would be more of a partner to walk alongside me. And this isn't to scare anyone away. It's just that some agents don't necessarily work that way. Some agents are absolutely about the business, and that as they should be, because they're trying to sell your book. And so they're much more, I'm going to be doing all the behind the scenes work, and you're tossed out by yourself as an author. You're going to do your thing. That's great for some people. But it took a few years for me to figure out, I don't actually think we're a good connection. So I did part ways with that person. And then I wasn't sure that I wanted to be agented for a little bit. And so I took a couple years off and just kind of looked. I actually put some books out myself. I've got some middle grade books that I self-published. Really enjoyed that whole process. Um, and I did decide, I think it was just about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, I thought, I think I'd like to try this again. And so I started putting the emails out again, started searching, and I found my agent, Mara. She's with Lighthouse Publishing. She's wonderful. I can highly recommend her. And I actually found her with my Pride and Prejudice fantasy retelling that's going to be coming out in 2027. And I knew that she was a great fit because, well, first of all, yes, I was getting a lot of rejections from the others. But even so, when she messaged back and said she was interested, I knew that I didn't want to just jump at it because that's very easy for us to want to do since we're, again, in our eyes, we think, oh my goodness, we just want to be agented. But the right agent's what's important, right? And so I took it slowly and I asked her a lot of questions. And I really wanted someone that was, again, going to partner with me. And she wrote back to me and said she loved the story, and she just really felt like it was exactly what she wanted to represent. It was encouraging. It was wholesome. It was a wholesome love story that was clean. Um, it had a little humor, it had some just some great character development. It was exactly what she was looking for, and that made me feel good because I was like, okay, she truly loves what I've written, and I want to partner with someone like that. And so she's very much hands-on. I can definitely message her with ideas and say, I have this thought, I have that thought, and she gets back to me right away. And so it took some time. It definitely took, I think, almost a year, I think, before of lots of rejections from my queries before I found her. But then once she was on board, then she took my Pride and Prejudice retelling and she was able to find the right publisher then. So very happy about that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So a YA fantasy Pride and Prejudice. What can you
Yes.
talk about the fantasy element? Or
Yes,
what?
I can. I love it. So I will admit, I've previously been comparing it a little bit to the Hunger Games,
Okay.
but I had someone cringe a little when I said that recently, and I think maybe they were attributing it more to kind of the overall umbrella that a lot of people look at the Hunger Games as a bunch of, people just kind of offing each other, right? Not necessarily that. When I say Hunger Games, I mean you're put in an arena and you're fighting.
Okay.
That's what I mean. So this is the basic Pride and Prejudice retelling. So we've got the main characters, the five Bennet sisters, Mr. Darcy, Mr. Bingley. We've got all the characters, and of course Mr. Collins. However, there is magic within this world. And so a small portion of the population, and it is set in Regency England, by the way. But a small percentage of the population has magic. And as a way for I guess I could say the government to kind of control it so it's not misused, they've created these unity games. Right? So the Unity games are ways that those with magical powers can compete. And what they wanted to do, since it's such a small percentage of the population, they wanted to include others. So they pair those with magic with those that can do martial arts. And so a team consists of up to five sorcelleries, is what they're called, but they're the magical people, and then five ordinaires, which would be the martial arts. And so if you can guess already, this is where the Pride and the Prejudice is coming from. So Mr. Darcy, Mr. Bingley, Caroline, which they have different names in my book, but I'll use those for now since we're familiar with them. They have magic, and then it's the Bennet sisters that are the martial arts, and so there's a little bit. Well, I don't want to say a little bit. There's quite a bit of prejudice between the two factions, even though they have to work together to compete in these games and to win. They still look down upon each other, right? So this is what we're going to work through. So it's the same basic idea as far as the romance, but then we have this added element of competition and games. So yeah,
That's delightful. That's
yeah,
that
I'm
sounds
very
so
excited about it.
fun.
It's incredibly fun, and I'm really quite proud of it. And I'm actually working on line edits right now for it. So we're at the next step of the process, and I'm really getting excited for its release. So
Okay. What's the title?
um, it is Threads of Fire.
Okay.
Threads of Fire. Yep, Threads of Fire. And
Well,
it is a standalone because it's Pride and Prejudice. So yeah,
that's fair. I was gonna say, remind us when it comes out, and we will share
I
all the
will.
things. It's
Yeah,
so fun.
I will. I will.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the, well, kind of with this, why do you choose to write YA? Why is that your audience or where your heart is or?
Yeah, I have always been drawn to YA. Obviously, even after I was no longer a teenager, as an adult, I continued to read YA. I honestly have been so inspired by a lot of the young adult writers. Um, uh, I can name, honestly, I will say probably a lot of the dystopians, but I feel like that was that's because it was the time when I was coming out of teenagerhood. But I was very much inspired by them, and I just feel a real pull towards young adult. And I think the reason is because um, you have the it's almost innocence, that a teenager is still has one foot in childhood a bit, right? But they're also absolutely breaking free into adulthood, and they oftentimes have to make adult decisions, right? Or face adult problems. So there's almost like a simplicity, but then also a bit of complexity. And I love that crossover. Whereas sometimes I feel as if some adult novels sometimes can get a little bit heavy, right? Really weighed down with the world's problems. And even if I should say the story, the plot of this YA novel is heavy, you still have that innocence of the teenager, the young adult, right? And I feel like that just lightens it enough. And there is also the whole idea that some adult um, literature has content that I'm just not interested in reading, right? So the language or the open door romance, and I have tended to lean on YA to be able to look for something that's a little bit cleaner, and I appreciate that. So through loving reading that, I of course then started writing that because that's what I was consuming every time I would read. And throughout the years of writing it now, I've really felt kind of just a draw that God has laid it on my heart to write stories of well, honestly, exactly what Sparkler stands for, of hope and light. Um, to encourage teenagers, especially, and adults if they're reading it. um, but just to really be an encouragement because the world can be very dark. It can be really, I would say deceptive because I feel like what a lot of what we see online is worse than what the reality is. I think
I agree.
almost like online is trying to trick us into thinking that things are a lot worse than there is hope out there, there's light out there, and it's to be had. You just need to choose to go find it and then choose to share it, right? And so I just really want to encourage young people. And I just had someone message me just a couple weeks ago, a young girl in college, and she thanked me for my one YA novel that's out, and she just said, she just really because the main character is kind of struggling with her identity, and she just thanked me because she felt like she could see herself, and that's really what I feel like God has laid on my heart is to write characters that are relatable that young people can see themselves in and see hope. So yeah.
I love that. What a good answer. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's wonderful. I always figure too, I mean, I don't want to read to be burdened with more things, right? I feel like, I don't know, it's an escape, right? In a lot of ways. I don't know. I want to enjoy
It
my
is.
time in a book.
It is
So,
an escape.
absolutely. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for sharing. You're so
absolutely.
full of wisdom and
Oh,
like just experience, right? To be able to share. So thank you for that.
yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
thanks for watching.
Okay.
Subscribe for more clean young adult content and check out sparklermagazine.com for our free quarterly clean young adult magazine.